Thank you so much for the big turnout. This is beyond our expectations, and we really do appreciate it. My name is Ken Powell. I'm the president and vice chair of the Aiken County Constitution Party, and this is a very historic time in North Augusta politics. 1 week ago tonight, we organized the Aiken County Constitution Party in this room and elected our officers. Before we get started, I'd like to ask our chairman, Mr. Steve Bryant, if he'll come forward and lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. And then Steve will be followed by Mr. Mike Hitzler, who will give you just a brief, short summary of this building, the Society House. And after that, I'll get up and speak to you in more detail as to the specifics of the meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Steve.
Thank you all for coming. Let us pray. God Almighty in the heavens above, creator of all things, infinite in wisdom, power, strength, and might, we humbly come before you tonight and ask for your blessing upon this group, upon our efforts to improve our city. And we pray that you will give us all safety as we travel. For the men and women of our military, and especially those in harm's way, we pray for their safety and for their safe return to their families. We ask all these things in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Stand with me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I'm excited about the party. I want to give you a little history. Now, the biggest question that people keep asking is, what does the Society House have to do with the Constitution Party? And I want to ask you, do any of you know what the motto of the Constitution Party for North Augusta is? A new beginning. This building represents multiple new beginnings for North Augusta, and in particular the Black community. The building was built when a group of young black men, African Americans, in the late 1800s, decided that there was a major need in Hamburg, that there were a lot of community needs, such as taking after proper burials of seniors, need for fellowship, and just to solve community issues that one person couldn't solve on his own. So they banded together and they built the community building, society building. And that served solving many, many problems for the community up until 1928. In 1928, Mother Nature took over and wiped out Hamburg with the Savannah River flood. But there was such a pressing need for this kind of a center that the Young Men's Union Association decided to rebuild. They were smart. They decided to rebuild on a higher location than Hamburg. So from 1928 to 1930, they salvaged the wood, dried it out, and built an exact replica of what was originally Hamburg. So from 1930 to 1950, we continued to meet the needs of the community. One of the pressing needs in the 1950s was that there needed to be a place for proper education of African American children. In 1950, it was turned into a school. The integration that came in the 60s and 70s no longer needed to function as a school. So at that point, it became the Simmons Masonic Temple, still acting as a community center to focus resources to solve community problems. So in each of these things, this building had a new beginning, repurposed to solve the needs of the city. And that's what we feel the Constitution Party is that there needs to be a new beginning. We respect the past, but we think that there's a lot of new things that can be done to really we can change the city's pride. Now, I want to make a statement about the North Augusta, historic North Augusta. They're the ones that are taking on the project of restoring this building, because they recognized that the Society House is just one hidden story that hasn't been taken care of. I mean, how many of you know that North Augusta had or Hamburg was where the first U.S. railroad terminated. In fact, the president of the railroad had his house on the top of Georgia Avenue. He liked Georgia Avenue, North Augusta, so much. Also, the film industry almost was located here, film and recording industry. Unfortunately, they made a bad decision and went to Hollywood. And given the politics, I think going to Hollywood is probably good for us. But the other thing that I thought is most interesting is the fact that North Augusta was one of the first planned communities in the United States. In that time period, there were only 20 communities that even considered this. Planning came in 1891. So there's a lot of stories to be told, and a lot of things are going to be missed when the old timers like us with the gray hair disappear, and others that have artifacts. So North Augusta Historical Society wants to turn this into a museum. And its mission is to gather all of these living history stories, build exhibits, and start teaching the community about what our history is and the pride we should all have with our city. And I want to thank the Historic Society and the president, who is Mark Newell. He's a non-profit organized group, so anybody who can donate time, talent, or treasure, they're always ready to have people help them restore the whole building. So I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and I'm excited about us moving forward here. So Ken?
Okay, in our Constitution part, a couple of housekeeping issues, but I know if the weather gets warm, who would have thought in February, we'd be this. Last week, as we were planning this, we were worried that it was going to be too cold. But please, if you need to get up, if you need to step out for fresh air, please feel free to do so. But in our reorganization meeting last Wednesday, in this room, our officers were inducted. And as I announce your names, I'd just like for them to be recognized so you as citizens can know who are the officers in the Aiken County Constitution Party. I want you to realize that they've made numerous sacrifices to get to where we are today, including their time, including relationships, including finances. There's been a huge effort by many people to be where we are tonight. But the officers, our chairman, Mr. Stephen Bryant, our secretary is Ms. Jan Leverett, back in the back, Jan, and our treasurer is Mr. Al LaFavor. There's Al. So these are your officers, and I'm the president of the party as well. So these are your officers for the Aiken County Constitution Party. I might step on some toes tonight. That's not on purpose, but it's just fact, as I believe it. So I wanted you to know why we're here and what we're doing. But numerous citizens for several years have been concerned for some time with how North Augusta was being managed at the local level. Just some of the issues that we're concerned with are the lack of fiscal responsibility, the lack of transparency, disregard for our one and only historic district. We have one district in North Augusta, and there's homes on the historic register. There's a non-compliance issue related to our city's development code, and a lot of that falls onto the city itself. There's unwillingness of city council to listen to citizens' input. There are problems in obtaining simple, readily available public information that's required by law. You're required to have it, but what do you have to do to get it? You have to fill out a Freedom of Information request. And City Council's decisions appear to benefit a few influential individuals at the expense of our other city residents. That's what we believe.
Amen.
So, if I gave you that list, I want you to think about something, just to kind of put it in perspective. We have more than just the issue of fiscal responsibility, but let me just see how much you as the average citizen, just see if you're aware of this. In order for MEDAC to come to North Augusta, that's the building right adjacent to the municipal building at the top of the hill, in order for them to come there, North Augusta paid $12 million to give them a garage to use. okay? We enticed them to come, but we gave them $12 million to build a garage, okay? The stadium, who doesn't like baseball? I mean, it's the American dream. Well, there's one person who doesn't like baseball. Okay, but, and it's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful place, and a lot of good work's been done there. But that was done at the tune of $40 million. Okay, Crown Plaza, those of you that have been down there, have you seen Crown Plaza? Okay, do you realize we paid $8 million for a garage and $7 million for a convention center for Crown Plaza to locate here in North Augusta? Now, at City Council, they're talking about building an amphitheater. You may have heard that Monday night. At a estimated cost of $1.5 million. And Augusta has one right across the river.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to see if the next statement I give you bothers you, or if you're surprised, or maybe you're not surprised. Attendance tonight tells me you're probably going to be surprised. But how many of you know that our municipal building was put up for collateral for these loans?
Oh my God.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Okay, so here we are. This past Monday night in City Council, Council approved $177,000 to purchase 25 parking meters to go at Riverside Village. Now, this isn't your normal Broad Street parking meter that we all grew up with, where you put a quarter in and you turn it for 30 minutes or whatever. I mean, these are high-tech parking meters where 1 meter would typically cover about 8 vehicles. But still, it was almost just like dropping candy on the floor. $177,000 for these. We need them. We need them now. We need to release this city administrator to go ahead and purchase them. So who's paying for it? Every one of us in this room are paying for it. And the sad fact is we're going to be paying for it till the year 2048. Yeah, I probably won't be here. I hope my grandchildren are here, but who knows? So now we find a situation where our small town, North Augusta, is in debt, and we're responsible for paying $143 million over the next 30 years. You feel you've had transparency from your government telling you what's going on with your taxes? You feel you had a choice about the ball field? Okay. We had no issue with the ball field. The issue was, let it go to the voters. Let the voters decide if you want to take on that debt. And a conscious decision was made for that not to be on the ballot when the decisions were made. You know why?
Yeah.
It's afraid to be voted down. Okay. I'm embarrassed to even say this. Our city leaders, when they borrowed this money to fund Project Jackson, Riverside Village, and everything that we're trying to become, borrowed money that for 3 years will be used to pay back the money that they borrowed. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you go out and buy a $25,000 car, yet you borrow $30,000. Okay, yeah, you can make your payments because you're making it with borrowed money. That's the condition we're in. It's not being transparent. There were revenues, the mayor said Monday night, there were revenues brought in, but it wasn't enough to cover the debt payment. So it was paid back with borrowed money. A combination of the two. So a group of concerned citizens recognized early on that to bring true change to what is happening in North Augusta government, we had to have more than one voice on council. Several of you know Councilman Jimmy Adams. I think the world of him. I think he's a fine man. Jimmy, for many years, has been the lone vote on city council. He didn't support the ball field, okay? There's a lot of things Jimmy hasn't supported, but it's still gotten approved because he's just one vote of 7.
Yeah.
Councilman Adams, I'm convinced his convictions are strong, and he wants the best for the city of North Augusta, and he's trying to make the decisions that make sense for the citizens, but he's being overruled by his peers. Well, Councilman Adams is not running for re-election now. He was your only voice. Now there's opportunities to have 3 voices on council to represent you. In fairness, I'd like you to recognize that an ordinance came before City Council several weeks back on allowing open containers of alcoholic beverage down at Riverside Village. The mayor said we were doing it to create an ambiance downtown. Okay? Pat Carpenter stuck to her convictions and would not budge, and she held firmly through all 3 readings, and she would not support it. Pat was the lone vote. Okay? So what you have is you have some good people on council, but they're being overruled by the majority of council. Okay. We in North Augusta have 23,000 residents. We have about 1,600 registered voters. In 2017, in the primary, we had about 2,800 people of the 16,000 vote. That equates to about 17% of the voting population. That is. I mean, every one of us ought to be embarrassed in here. You know, when Steve talks about people sacrificing their lives for us, and we as a city of 16,664 voters, and we can only get out 2,800 to vote. That's not something I'm proud of. We believe that most of our residents are not well informed with what's going on and the decisions being made by the city administrator, the mayor, and city council. City council members have publicly stated that since there's usually very low turnout at city council meetings, they believe they're doing a very good job. That's evidence that they're doing a good job. And we disagree. Typically, I don't know what the numbers are, but I go to them. There may be 20, 30, in that ballpark, people in the audience of 23,000 residents. So their position is everybody thinks everything's great because if the citizens aren't here speaking out, and they have been speaking out, some of them, but they've been being ignored. Okay, we've got residents not only along the river. North Augusta also exists east of Martintown Road, of George Avenue. Depends who you ask. We've got a big part of town east of George Avenue. We've got north of I-20. These areas are being neglected. They're being neglected for the river, for Riverside Village. That's where the money's going. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look out and see good men. I'm talking, and what I'm saying here is city workers got the utmost respect for them. They're only doing what they're told. But I don't think you probably see many of them in your neighborhoods as you have in the past. We just believe that our leaders are acting irresponsibly and that the decisions they're making are benefiting some at the detriment of most people in North Augusta. Now, before I speak to you about the Constitution Party, I want to mention one thing. The Constitution Party is not against progress. We fully support small businesses, and they need to be unleashed where they can thrive, and we need to help them thrive. And that's part of the charm of North Augusta, to have small businesses. We don't believe large businesses, such as Crown Plaza, such as MEDEC, should be given preferential consideration over our small businesses with expenditures, and they should also be held to the same city codes that small businesses are held to. If large businesses decide to relocate to North Augusta, there's other places, I mean, and it will probably ruffle some feathers, and I think that's natural when you have change, but you know, there are some places, maybe in the vicinity out towards Exit 5, developed that way. It doesn't have to be downtown. You don't have to destroy downtown for the sake of putting on this facade of look who North Augusta is. All right, the other thing I want you to know is we're not a bunch of radicals, okay? You know, we possess characteristics that most of you would expect, I think, in this room. We believe in being fiscally responsible. We believe in promoting small government. We believe in giving the people a choice rather than supporting the status quo. We believe in balancing both our growth and our character, and including all citizens in the governmental process. If you have attended a city council meeting, I would say over the past 2 years, and if you have had the courage to speak, chances are you probably felt like you did not get heard. We're strongly supporting transparency in governmental affairs. There's too much secrecy going on in North Augusta at the municipal building.
Amen to that.
Yes.
And we do support long-term debt only for critical needs. A critical need would be the example of our public safety headquarters. That decision should have been, that didn't happen overnight. Our public safety headquarters has gone down over time. But what we do, we mortgage to the hilt so that we could get a ball field at the expense of the firemen and policemen. Our first choice should have been to give them a public safety headquarters. Let me get just a pulse of the group. How many of you, keep your hands up if you would, and if you cross the line, you can lower your hand. But how many of you have lived here 20 years? 30 years? 40 years? 50 years? 60 years? Oh, man. You might want to keep your seat. 70 years? 70 years? How about that? Congratulations. Being a resident of North Augusta for 70 years, are you comfortable with the direction the city's headed? No. I'm sure you've seen a lot in your 70 years being a resident. And I agree with you. And I've lived here all my life, 55 years. And I've asked myself why? Why? It's like the people in power are trying to create something that we're not. And decisions have been made. We got to live with them now, but we can stop future decisions. I want to ask you to prayerfully consider support of the Constitution Party, and I mean that sincerely. I want you to pray about it. You know, our city's reached a point where good people who have been true public servants for numerous years, are being purged from their official positions. Why is this happening? Is it because they're not following the laws that they're sworn to uphold? I submit to you that there's a hidden agenda to replace these selfless public servants and individuals who are aligned with the current administration's directives. As we would say in the South, this isn't going to be an easy road to hoe. We recognize that from the start. If you decide that you can support the Constitution Party, what we're asking you to do is to leave this meeting tonight and spread the word. Talk to your neighbors. We have neighborhood meetings that have been taking place already in people's homes where you've got to meet the candidates. We want that to continue all the way up to the election, which is on April the 30th. If you decide that, hey, there's 2 or 3 neighbors, you don't have to have a big house. You know, this can be around the kitchen table. They'll come to you. They'll talk to you. You don't have to make a special trip, especially if you're handicapped or elderly. We will come to you. And if you've got a group of people that are too big for your house, call us. We'll find a place to meet with the candidates. I want you to realize this fact. This is not a fly-by-night outfit, what we're trying to do. Matter of fact, I would like to think that there's somebody in this room tonight that may try to take a stand and run for council or mayor in 2021 that can sign up to these ideals. Our candidates are willing to come to speak to everyone. Above all, I want you to be informed during this election cycle. Now, in order for the Constitution Party candidates and consequently our city to be successful, we must have tremendous voter turnout. I cannot emphasize that. You cannot overemphasize. It's got to. 17%, you're going to have the same people in office. May be different faces, but I don't think you're gonna see a change in city government. So what we've done is we formed a team of 3 candidates. We use the phrase, your voice times 3. Our strategy is to get all candidates of the Constitution Party elected on April the 30th. If we're successful in doing that, you have a 50% chance, you have a 50% voice at council meetings.
That's right.
Which I don't think any of us in this room tonight feel like we've got a 50% voice.
No.
If you, me, and we as a group are successful, it'll send a powerful message to the powers of the local government. I think it'll send a message that our citizens have been patient and they've waited too long, and they are dissatisfied with our officials' performance. The city council has and continues to let us down each and every other Monday we go to. I'm amazed at the decisions that are coming out of there. So, here we are. We researched many national parties. We didn't take this lightly, as I said, many national parties, and came to the conclusion that the Constitution Party most accurately reflected our beliefs and our morals. The Constitution Party is predicated on the principles of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. I mean, how much basic can you be than that, you know? The pillars of the Constitution Party are integrity, liberty, and prosperity. And I want you to know that as officers, as members, as candidates, we're holding ourselves accountable to those 3 principles and pillars. For those of you that are here tonight that took an oath in your youth to protect and defend the Constitution, we do indeed thank you for your service. We didn't take forming the Aiken County Constitution Party lightly. We know, and we went into this knowing that the cards are stacked against us. The sacrifices our group and families have made with our fellow citizens have given us a distinct choice for an election. I think if you look at the past history, you really haven't had a choice. I mean, people would get through the primaries and they'd be your candidates for the general election. But now you do have a choice, and we hope it's your voice times 3. I can assure you, our officers and our candidates very seriously take their roles. As I stated before, this is what lies ahead of us. The election is held on April the 30th. You do not need to be a member of the Constitution Party to vote for a Constitution Party candidate. We get that question sometimes. You can be a Republican, you can be a Democrat, whatever you want to be, but you can still vote for a Constitution Party candidate. But keep in mind, when you go in that booth and you pull the curtain, we're asking for 3. One person's not going to do it. 2 people aren't going to do it. 3 people will give us 50% voice in terms of the council members. You do have to be registered, a registered voter, in order to vote, and some of you may not even be registered at this point. But I want to tell you, you can go to our website, which is naconstitutionparty.com, and we've got brochures over here, plenty for all of you to take home tonight. You can click on that website to register, and it'll take you to the Aiken County Registrar's office, to where you can electronically register to vote. And then come April 30th, there's no reason not to get out and vote. If you need transportation, whatever, you know, call me personally. I mean, I don't care. I don't know how you vote, but if you want to go and you say, hey, I want to go to the voting booth because I want to vote, we'll get you there. So tonight, I'd like to introduce the candidates. I know it's getting a little warm in here. We have 3 candidates, as you know. It's Elizabeth Jones, Dave Leverett, and Stetson Corbett. And I'd just like to ask one of them to come forward and start it off and just tell you a little bit about themselves. And then we'll go into the nomination process of this convention. Okay? David?
Dave Leverett,
I've lived in North Augusta since 1976. We live on Butler Avenue, which is in the historic district. My wife Jan is back there. We've got 4 kids growing up through the North Augusta school system. And I came to this point in life after, over the last 15 months, we've been involved directly in talking with the city council, carrying issues before the city council, and taking a stand against the direction council's taking. We fought the placement of the firehouse on George Avenue, and I don't really want to go into that from a historic standpoint, but I'm going to tell you what we learned about our government. We did a study on their plans, and from our study, it showed a 90% non-compliance with the standards that the city had stated were the standards for the development of that area. There are some 80 or so requirements, and of those 80, 72 of them, they were non-compliance. We got support from the Planning Commission. We got a 7-0 vote in support of us, the Planning Commission. But that did not win the council. They're coming at it again. They've started already. The arguments are the same. Didn't hear a single word we said. We have not taken the field. We just pushed it back. We also took on an issue of changing an overlay on George Avenue. Now, an overlay, because North Augusta started, as Mike said, as a community, as a planned community, the overlays are intended to kind of keep that feel, to keep that planned neighborhood community. And because of that, in the area of George Avenue, development is supposed to be residential, at least residential feeling. And the limit on a structure in that area was 3,000, a footprint of 3,000 square feet. The business owner proposed a plan of 9,000 square feet, 3 stories, to go in that community. It's a gross violation of the overlay. Council took it on themselves. They have 2 options. Now listen carefully. They have 2 options in dealing with a zoning change. If it's a zoning change, it requires them to notify everybody in the area. Now, do you think if you were living in this area and the requirements were that it be residential and someone is building something 9,000 square feet and 3 stories, do you think you would want to know?
Yeah.
Well, there's another option in the law. It's called the text amendment, which is in the law to allow them to edit the ordinances. They used that, and they did not contact the citizens. We contacted the citizens. The group of people you're seeing up here tonight, we contacted the citizens, and it went before the council, went 3 votes. First 2 votes passed. On the 3rd vote, our lawyer pursued a technicality, and it failed on the 3rd vote based on a technicality. Now, one of the things I'm excited about as far as the Constitution Party is what I call the of, by, for principle. Of the people, by the people, for the people. It's not in the Constitution. It comes out of the Gettysburg Address. But Lincoln was reflecting on the Constitution when he said it. Government is to be of the people, by the people, for the people. Well, if that's the principle, we don't need a law. The law says if the people are going to be affected, you tell them. It's just who you are. You do it because you have the right upbringing. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You know, because you're taught to do the right thing. You don't need a law. If the citizens are going to be affected, you tell them. Now, we oppose that, and we've been criticized because of that. Says we were against progress. We were not against progress. We were for the law. We were defending the law, and we would do it again. And just so as you know, for you to know, it was not the first time council has used this. It's not the first time. It's a practice. And one of the defenses they gave when our lawyer, who stood up in front of them and told them it was against the law, we do this often. This is the way we do business. It's the wrong attitude for government to have.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely wrong. And so we're saying we want to make a change here. We want to have government that serves the people. So in order to do that, we're asking you to cast 3 votes for the Constitution Party. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Jones, and I am a candidate, a part of the team for the Constitution Party seeking City Council seats. Your voice times 3. I want you to remember that when you leave here. Your voice times 3. Elizabeth Jones, Dave Leverett, Stetson Corbett. Your voice times 3. A new beginning for North Augusta. A new beginning. What brought me to this point tonight? It is because 2 years ago, sort of semi-retired now, I started doing a lot of social media. And I went to this site called North Augusta 2020. And I started seeing all these conversations about what was going on in the city of North Augusta. Things that I had absolutely no idea was going on. Did I know that this small city had taken on such a large debt? I didn't know that. Most people didn't know it until we started the conversation on social media about what was going on. Social media is a powerful thing, isn't it? So I started listening and joining in the conversation about what was going on. Now, we still truly don't know everything that's happening in our city, even tonight. We're here, but we don't know what's going on totally. So a lot of us are seeing things differently. So some of us are seeing things through translucent glasses. We see some of it, but we don't see all of it. It's vague, you know, it's not quite clear, but we know something is going on. And some of us, we're seeing things, and this was me, because I love North Augusta, and I thought everything was just wonderful through our rose-colored glasses. Everything was absolutely awesome. I traveled around the state of Georgia, my job, serving 14 counties, and it became a joke with a lot of my colleagues because I would go in and people would say, "Where are you from?" And I'd say, "North Augusta." They said, "Where is that?" And I said, "Over in South Carolina, right across the bridge from Augusta, Georgia." And I said, "North Augusta is God's second paradise." So I still have people who approach me and they'll call me on the phone and say, "Hey, Elizabeth, how things are going? And how's God's second paradise?" Well, up until 2 years ago, I thought God's second paradise was just doing absolutely awesome. But it's not. I had a rude awakening. Now, I don't know about you, but when people start spending my tax dollars just any way they want to, without consulting me about anything, I have a problem. I have a big problem with that. When I go before city council and I speak and no one will give me any eye contact, everybody's looking down like, oh, well, that's nice, miss. Nice that you came down here. Can you just hurry up and go sit down so that we can, you know what I'm talking about. I think that's very disrespectful to citizens. And that means that it doesn't matter what we come before council and say, they're just going to do whatever they want to anyway. So we have no transparency. So we've got to take off our rose-colored glasses. We've got to put down our translucent lenses. And we've got to open our eyes with clear sight now and say, we are not going to tolerate this any longer. We're going to make changes on council. We're going to the polls on April 30th. And we're going to vote in a new beginning. Amen. We're going to vote for Dave Leverett, and we're going to vote for Stetson Corbett. Yes. Thank you.
I've got a notepad, but do not be scared. It's not going to take that long. And it's hot. When we were in here cleaning up, we actually had somebody fix the heater because we thought that it was getting chilly. But we thank the Lord that it's not raining tonight. My name is Stetson Corbett, and I am running with these two fine people for City Council. A little bit about myself. I am in North Augusta. My wife and I have 6 children, but despite that, we do find time to volunteer and serve. We go to church here in North Augusta. I'm a member of Sertoma Club, very active in Sertoma Club. For every year except the first year I was in it, I've served on the board or been a director in the club. Also donate time to the school and have fun with the kids. My speech tonight actually comes from the inspiration of somebody that's in here. He told me, he said, Stetson, y'all are going to have a hard time because North Augusta is a Republican town. And y'all started a new party, and it's called the Constitution Party. Not a lot of people know what that is. I'm not afraid to say Republican Party. What I'm afraid to say is the Republicans here are not acting like Republicans.
Yeah.
That is why we felt the need to come out and do the Constitution Party. So when you go in that ballot box and you see a C behind our names, I want to give you some C words tonight to think about when you see that C. It's not all Constitution Party. This is not party, 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 party. This is a thought process that we've gone through. This is a commitment and a dedication that we are about. The first word that I want you to think about, it's part of our platform, near and dear to my heart, is transparency. So when you think about transparency, I want you to think about the word clear. Clarity. When you hear our government officials talk to us, we need to be able to understand it in a way that we can understand. We need to be told as people what is going on in our community. We don't need to be sold a bill of goods for Riverview Park that we're going to have the Hampton Terrace Hotel down there. And then we get this other kind of looking hotel. We were sold that it was going to be historic North Augusta coming back. We were going to have a beautiful hotel down there. Not that that one is just horridly ugly, but it is not the Hampton Terrace. It's not the bill of goods that we were sold. It was not clear the direction that they were going in. The other part of our platform that I want to talk about tonight is will of the people. The C words that I want y'all to think about when you go in that ballot box are collaboration and consensus. Collaboration is us, hopefully future city council members, if y'all get us there, please get us there. It's consensus of the people. What do the people want? Why were the people of North Augusta put $60 million in debt for a ballpark that was not part of the original vision for Riverside Village? Why did we not have a referendum? Why do we not have a referendum on something as important as letting 2 cups of alcohol loose down on Riverwalk? It's not put before the people. I myself got up in front of council and asked them to please table this thing for a while. Could you please just think about it for a little while? We don't have the restaurants down there. We don't have the need for it. There's no reason to vote it up or down at this point.
Right.
Please table it.
Nope.
Looked at every one of them, called their names. Nothing, passed, done. 3 red resolutions. It's now part of our code. Courtesy is another word that I want y'all to think about. C word, Constitution Party, courtesy. When you come down in the chambers of city council, you should be treated with respect.
Yes.
If your view is 180 degrees of what everybody believes up there in the pulpit, oh, sorry, maybe wrong. No. If your view is 180 degrees, these folks are there to listen. We represent all of North Augusta. You need to sit there. You need to sit there and consciously take in what the folks are saying. It's important. It's important enough for them to take a Monday night and go down there or call you on the phone or whatever time of day it is that they feel is appropriate for them to speak to you as a leader of the community, a representative of the community. That's what you are. Courtesy. You know, we've heard a lot about the animal control issues. So we have reached out to some of the folks that are very concerned about the animal issues, and we want to talk to them. We feel that we are extending a courtesy to talk about what are some things that you're looking for. What can we help implement when we get in there? Those are the ways to act.
Yes.
Those are the ways to treat folks when they come down to city council meetings. Another C word is conservative.
Amen.
Because the guy that I was talking to, he just said, you've got to drive this home. Y'all are conservative. I think we've represented that point with all of us coming up here. But we are the conservative choice. We are committed to being fiscally responsible, responsible to the city, responsible to the overlays that are in existence. We're committed to every one of those things. So when you go in that voting booth, most people have voted straight R down the line. But this is a local issue. We felt driven to get into this party. So when you go in there, I want you to think about those C words as it relates to the Constitution Party. Don't be afraid to go vote in the Constitution Party, because we really are the conservative arm of the Republican Party for here in North Augusta. We are the difference. So when you go in, I ask for you to vote for Elizabeth Jones, Dave Leverett, and Stetson Corbett. I thank y'all very much for your time.
I know you all want refreshments. It's coming. Trust me. Free food, free food. It's behind you. We're almost done. What I'm going to do tonight is invite the nomination process to open up on the floor. And I will say that if you're already a member of the Constitution Party, you are eligible to vote. If you're not a member, and you will know if you're a member or not, if you've signed up or not, but if you're not a member, you're not eligible to vote at this time. But we're going through the process, we're following the law, and the law is that we go through this convention and we walk out with our 3 official candidates. So, I'll open it up to the floor among the members of the Constitutional Party for one of 3 nominations for City Council of North Augusta.
I, Stephen Bryant, would like to nominate Elizabeth Jones, candidate for City Council.
Elizabeth Jones has been nominated for City Council. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded. Congratulations, Elizabeth. Any other members of the Conservative, of the Constitution Party want to make a nomination? Well, I'd like for you to too, but I don't think you're a member. Save that for April 30th. Okay, nominations from Dave Leverett for Stetson Corbett. Is there a second?
I second it.
Motion seconded. Congratulations, Stetson.
Thank you.
And finally, our third candidate that we want to put on the ballot in April. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate Dave Leverett.
Dave Leverett's nominated. Well,
I second that.
motion is seconded. Okay. Or Bill, are you a member of the Conservative Party? Constitution Party? No. That was not. That's a process we had to go to about a month ago. We had to go and send in. You can do that. You're an official Conservative Party candidate. Motion made and seconded. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are your candidates for the 2019 City Council election of the Conservative Party. Dave Leverett, Elizabeth Jones, Conservative Constitution Party, excuse me. Everybody's getting hungry. These are your candidates for the Constitution Party for 2019 for City of North Augusta. Okay, if you wouldn't mind taking your seats, I got one thing to say. Do you have something today? Okay, I'll step aside.
I'd like to read this. I think there's some North Augusta High School students here tonight. I want you to go back to school and tell your history teachers that somebody read you the preamble of the Constitution. It says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America."
Okay, just so there's no misunderstanding, I'm new at this, if you didn't know, and so I make mistakes. I want to go on record. Everybody in favor of Elizabeth Jones being a candidate for the Constitution Party, and if you're a member of the Constitution Party, will you raise your hand? All opposed? Likewise for Dave Leverett. Everybody that's a member of the Constitution Party in favor of Dave Leverett being a candidate in 2019 for City Council. Would you please raise your hand? Opposed? And finally, with Stetson Corbett, all members that are in favor of Stetson being a Constitution Party candidate for the North Augusta 2019 City Council, would you please raise your hand? Any opposed? Thank you. Now, I just wanted to make sure we were legal, that somebody wouldn't pull the rug out from under us at the last minute.
Yeah.
Okay,
Amen.
as we close, I want to ask you to meet the candidates. We've got brochures over here. We've got Clemson, Carolina football schedules with our website. If you're a Georgia Tech fan, we've got those. We've got brochures about the candidates themselves, about the Constitution Party. There's also a flyer over there, front and back, which talks about the Constitution Party in more detail. Hopefully, you'll feel free to take those, take what you want, spread them around. You know, we want the word to get out. So, if you haven't already, we'd like you to sign in on the sign-in sheet before you leave. That doesn't sign you up to say, hey, I'm in the Constitution Party. What that does is that gives us a mechanism to get in touch with you. As things evolve between now and April, we want to communicate. We'd love that communication both ways, but the internet in today's world is a great way to get your information out to you. So, finally, I'd like to leave you with this. This new party that we're a part of before us is like a chapter in a book. It's just waiting to be written. And I'm so proud to be a part of it. The Constitution Party can help write the story by setting the goals that enhance the quality of life for all North Augusta citizens and make government accountable to all. Remember, March 30th is the deadline to register. April 30th is the date of the election. We look forward to seeing you at the polls. And I'd like to leave you with this quote, and our chairman, Steve Bryant, would say just a couple of words briefly. Everybody's hungry and hot. But tonight I want to leave you with this quote that's been attributed to a gentleman, Edmund Burke. And it says, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Steve, and when Steve is finished, I'll come back and we'll adjourn the meeting.
I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. This is an overwhelming response, and we appreciate it because a lot of hard work has gone into this. One of the best things that has happened to me through this process is I've met a lot of nice people in North Augusta, very smart people. I now consider them my friends. I'd ask you if you would, while we're mingling, having refreshments, find somebody you don't know, introduce yourselves. I'll bet you didn't know they live right around the corner. Ken lives right around the corner for me. Now we're friends. We're going to need you all to work together with us. We can't do this alone. We've taken it to this point, and from here, you've got to tell people, the power's in your hands. We can make this happen.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Enjoy the refreshments and mingle. Thank you.